Welcome to the temple. It's very warm here today. I think I have rosy cheeks. I wanted to share a prayer to Mary Magdalene and then just discuss a little bit the inspiration for how this prayer came about. I'll also upload a short to the channel so that you can just have the prayer on its own if you don't want to listen to the discourse on the prayer, but you'd like to listen to the prayer more than once. So it's a prayer to help us through difficult times, through times of trial and suffering. So I'll read it now. Blessed Mary Magdalene, guide me through the burdens of my suffering and distress. Just as you wept but stayed at the cross and the tomb, inspire me to strength and resilience in times of trial. Enfold me in your grace and compassion. Guide me to unwavering faith and divine clarity. In dark times, give me the strength to continue my life and my work. My Lady, in your name, blessed be. So, the main inspiration for this prayer that I've written to Mary Magdalene is really the part of Mary that does show us just how strong she is. For my own personal self, I've been going through some really difficult times. And as I look out into the world, I see that collectively we are going through some really difficult times. And I heard a wonderful thing the other day, and I can't remember who it was. I think it's maybe, I don't want to misquote, I think it was maybe Mary Magdalene School, one of the women from there. You know, and I've heard it said before that people are talking about how much light is coming down into the earth right now with all the solar flares and the celestial goings on. But, you know, she was saying, and like I say, I've heard other people say this, that when the light comes down, what does it do? It illuminates the shadows. And sometimes people can think that when the light comes down, it casts the shadows out and they're just gone, which when we use light literally and shine it on a shadow, it does do that, but it usually casts other shadows as well. But in a spiritual sense, when the light comes down, it illuminates what is within the shadow, what has been hiding in the shadow. It doesn't instantly destroy what was in the shadow. So the light coming down now at this time is helping us to see what's been hiding in the shadows, the darkness that's been in the shadows. It's not a case of the light is coming and everything is being made perfect. It's part of our role to help that happen. So there is a lot of darkness going on. I do see a lot of comments online, people saying this is such a wonderful time, the world is going through an awakening, everything's getting better. And there is some toxic positivity going on there. And we know from Mary Magdalene's own example that going into the darkness, facing things that are scary, facing things that are difficult, is what we should do. Especially if we want to walk the path of the Magdalene, if we want to be a priestess of the Magdalene, it's part of our role to look at the darkness, to hold it, to almost get dirty with it, you know, to feel it on our hands, and then to learn how to help that darkness dissolve into light. And when I say to kind of, you know, get it on us, I don't mean to live that way or to accept that darkness, but to become involved in it, you know, not to turn away, not to turn our heads away when we see something that we don't like. And so both collectively and personally, this prayer is a call to Mary Magdalene to help guide us through our own difficulties when we're dealing with those, but also to help us address the difficulties around us at this time, of which there are many. There are those that are in the news every day, and then there are those that we never hear about, and then there are those that we know, people know, you know, certain things are going on, but it's not given. as much airtime or hardly any airtime. It's kind of kept hush hush, you know. Our jobs are to acknowledge those things and to not run from them, and to talk about them as well. You know, to educate people we know about those things, to keep them in the forefront of people's minds, so that we don't just allow them to scuttle off into a different shadow. And it's the same in our personal lives with shadows that we have, with things we're afraid of. You know, when we shove them away and we say, oh, I'm just going to pretend that's not there and I'm just going to carry on, because eventually it catches up to us. And Mary Magdalene was all about facing that darkness, taking on the difficult things, and that's what we have to do, and that's what this prayer calls her to help us do. Just as she wept, she was so distraught at the cross and at the tomb, but she stayed and she did the work that she needed to do there. And when we say inspire me to strength and resilience in times of trial, that's what we're asking for her, to help us to be as strong as she was, and to help us also do the work we need to do to be able to get there, sitting in silence with our discomfort, addressing the parts of ourselves that aren't as graceful, you know, that we might be ashamed of or embarrassed of. And asking her to enfold us in her grace and compassion, because when we do this work, when we address the darkness in the world, the darkness in ourselves, we need grace and compassion towards ourselves. A lot of the reason why people don't look at the difficulties is because they don't like either their reaction. You know, if your reaction to seeing war, to seeing death, is to turn away from it, when you examine why you do that, is it because maybe part of you doesn't care because you feel so disconnected from your fellow humans? You don't feel as though they're really people you need to worry about. And does a part of you actually feel uncomfortable with yourself for feeling that? You know, if you're watching this, do you feel uncomfortable with me saying that? And when we're addressing our own personal shadows as well, a lot of the time, a lot of us hide a lot of shame for either things that we have done or things that we've been made to feel are our fault but aren't our fault. And we don't want to feel those feelings. So we ask Mary Magdalene to hold us in her grace and compassion. If we can't give that to ourselves in that moment, it's okay, because she'll do that for us. She'll hold us in that grace and that compassion as we do that work. And guiding us to unwavering faith and divine clarity is, when we go through difficult times, we can have those moments, those kitchen floor moments where we're on our knees and we're looking up and we're saying, why is this happening to me? What have I done? What have I done wrong? Help me. And we feel that our faith leaves us. And Mary Magdalene, I mean, she must have been through those times, and she kept her faith. And we ask her to help us keep ours, to keep going. And that divine clarity to help us remember the essence of who we are and the essence of life. And this world we've created around us seems almost like a cage sometimes, and we can forget that we are free beings. We really are, but we forget that. And remembering our divine inheritance. So we ask Mary Magdalene to help us with that clarity, to keep us on track, to keep our faith, and asking her to give us strength to continue with our work. Is whatever path we go on. I've definitely felt this over this past year of feeling this calling and having moments of very, very divine clarity, very strong faith, and then feeling pulled away by real life. And questioning, how can these bad things happen, and you know, to the world, and why is this happening to me, the things in my personal life as well, and it's pulled me away from work I felt very strongly that I want to do, which is this work, this that I'm doing now, is talking about Mary Magdalene and her example and walking the path of the Magdalene. I've had moments where I felt very disconnected from that, and and praying to her. And this is part of the reason that I wrote this prayer, was because I was feeling very disconnected, very pulled away. And so I wrote this prayer to ask her to help me continue the work that I feel is important for me to do on the earth. So I hope this prayer is helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. You can of course adapt it for your own needs. And I will, like I say, upload a short if you want to note it down, you want to listen to it again, so that you don't have to kind of, you know, go through this whole video. But I'm going to just read it again to close out the video with. Blessed Mary Magdalene, guide me through the burdens of my suffering and distress. Just as you wept but stayed at the cross and the tomb, inspire me to strength and resilience in times of trial. Enfold me in your grace and compassion. Guide me to unwavering faith and divine clarity. In dark times, give me the strength to continue my life and my work. My Lady, in your name, blessed be.